Hello, film friends, friends of film, and everyone in between. Welcome to the Film Folklore Podcast. I am Jed Props, and I am joined today by Zoe Props.
Ew.
Joey D.
Hello.
And, of course, our amazing producer, Justin Sound.
Hi. Jed, you have to stop calling me amazing and not giving them any credit.
Well, you know what?
No, you are.
Let's pause a minute.
Take it.
I was running out of adjectives, and I was like, I need to save all 10 adjectives I still know for Justin. So don't worry, we're going to run out, and then I have nothing left to tell y'all.
Thank you.
Yes. My brain is dumb. All right. So Chris is not with us today. I don't know. Where is Chris? Joe, do you know?
He's on to Magic Mike Part 2.
The marathon continues.
It continues.
What's great is if we air these in a different order to make it even more confusing.
He's still there.
Yeah. I should say, for recording purposes, this is our 11th episode that we've recorded. And thank you. Good job. Everyone pat yourselves on the backs. Yeah, there you go.
Real quick, did you guys know Soderbergh directed the Magic Mics?
Yeah.
I think I did know that. Or the first one, right? I don't know about beyond that. But.
I think it's both of them.
Magic Mike?
Yeah, why not?
Well, there's three.
There's three.
Oh, I heard that the first one was like better than it should have been.
Better than you would imagine.
Yeah. My mom saw it. My mom doesn't watch movies like that at all, ever. Yeah, I guess she went with like a girlfriend or whatever. She's like, yeah, I saw Magic Mike. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing
So
there?
have you watched the stripper movie yet?
Yeah. She said it wasn't bad. And I was like, okay, Mom, what the hell are you talking about? So, yeah.
That's great. I got nothing. Wow. So the reason I bring up that this is our 11th recording is that we are entering uncharted territory for our genre, I suppose. Because we're kind of a niche podcast, we're like behind the scenes film. There haven't really been a lot of other podcasts that were similar. And to the best I could tell, they all seem to die by the 10th episode. So we are officially beyond whatever, deep space. I don't know.
We just have to survive physically survive this next 60 minutes.
Yeah, Chris is not here, as we said, but we're going to go right into it. We are introducing yet another new segment. Guess what? We haven't really explored too much of the lore part of our title. And so we're going to start occasionally doing another segment that we're going to be calling Legendary Lore. And we're going to put a spotlight on famous incidents or things that kind of happened throughout film history. It might be kind of contemporary. It could be a little older. But we'll get into what we're talking about here in a second because we got a doozy of a famous story. But first, at some point, we've all been on chaotic shows. It's unfortunately just part of the business. Even though we'd like it to not ever happen, we'd be lying to ourselves if it didn't happen. And you know, what are some typical reasons for a show derailing and going unhinged?
COVID.
Wow. Yeah. Boy, that was
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
COVID. Worked on one where it took like 3 hours to light each scene.
Right.
Which was fun.
Not making your days, which is completing what you are set out to do on your call sheets and things.
Poor handling of the budget from above the line.
Going above budget.
That could probably do it the quickest.
Yeah. Poor directing. It's usually coming from the top when things are not going well. It's hard to fault like a middle of the pack kind of person.
Yeah, I worked on one where it just rained so much. It was hurricane season, and it was, I don't know, it just happened so much to the point of it just being a joke.
There's a show called Underground where it rained.
Yes.
30 days. We
were both on it.
Yeah.
It was like, by the time I got in, you guys were like just permanently drenched.
I found a threshold I didn't know I had, which was apparently a 9th episode of horror is where I quit. It's one of 2 shows I've ever quit.
Yeah.
It was atrocious.
Why'd you quit that one? Just because it was so...
You're sad.
I was very sad and wet.
Yeah. I do my crying in the rain.
Do you know the worst thing in the world? Toweling yourself off.
Can't see the tears.
And you stay wet. And that's why we stayed wet. It was the tears.
Yeah.
I got a million stories from that show, but no, the prop master was a hack, and I'm open and willing to say that because he was one of the worst people I've ever worked with. And so
Understood.
You couple that with the show going horrifically wrong, and you get the worst thing I've ever worked on. And we're in a never say never industry, but I feel very confident, and I can't ever not top, but bottom that. I don't know. How do you, anyway, I can't do worse than that.
Yes.
But Zoe, great point you brought up, because it's the elements is another thing and that show was, as Joe was saying, one of the wettest summers ever experienced in my lifetime, where every afternoon the sky was opening up and dumping. And this is almost entirely shot outdoors.
In a like an old music, what do they call it? The agricultural museum?
Oh,
yes. So these buildings are like real shacks from like the Civil War era, like maintained, and the landscape was just one big gradual salad bowl kind of thing.
It's here in New Orleans or
Baton Rouge. It's interesting because
it's part of LSU.
I've been there.
You're in the heart.
What are you talking about?
You're between the interstates, which is kind of weird. But so you feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere, but you're actually just between two interstates in like a park enclosed area.
Yep.
I believe it's the oldest surviving house in Louisiana is now on that property.
Oh, no way.
And we shot in that house, which seemed not like a good idea, but that's a locations question.
Yeah. Not safe.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just every day, and actually, that's a good show to keep modeling off of. The first ADs were very lovely men. I really liked them as people. The problem for them is that they were from New York and they had only done stage work. They were young on the newer AD side, so they had never done a show out in the elements. So that's problematic. And everything that could possibly go wrong in that show pretty much did. And then just put on top of that the topic of slavery and people being racist on the show in a variety of ways. You get a recipe for just really awful.
Crabby, wet, pissed off, some of them racist people.
Oh, I can tell one funny story that I just remembered on a day that the sky was opening up like it did every day. And we were shooting out in a place called Vacherie, Louisiana, where there's a bunch of plantations that are now kind of museum-y places. But we were shooting around this one plantation, and sky opens up, and the actor, I can't think of his name offhand. It's the actor that played Bubba in Forrest Gump. He was a very lovely man. All the actors on the show were great. But
hold for truck.
Is that a truck?
No, it's a bus.
Hold for bus.
It's like a big truck.
Damn you, paparazzi bus.
And continuing.
Coming around. We see the sky opening up, and it's about to rain cats and dogs again. And the first AD said, "Everyone take shelter in the big house," which, phrasing maybe not so great. And then the actor that I can't remember his name, he said, "Lordy, we's going to the big house," like just making jokes. And it's
Bubba guy.
Bubba, because he can make that joke, and I'm trying not to laugh, but it is funny because he was kind of like in and out of that show because he had a smaller role. So he had just like basically flown back in town. He had not been there for all the misery. So it's kind of like you coming in late where he was just happy-go-lucky, and everything. But it's just phrasing all the sensitivity on the show, and then you got this guy that just goes, "Lordy, he's going to the big house."
Yeah,
and it was funny. It was just like, oh, where have you been this whole show? Because you still have humor.
Yeah.
We got a. I'll close on this because I can talk about that show forever. But we got a memo from production, and it was very obvious it was from the 30-year-old showrunner that had never been a showrunner, who was a horrible person. And the message to us was, we're trying to set a tone and a mood with the background, and it's hard to do that when the crew is cutting up or essentially trying to enjoy your day. And so the message that was sent out to the entire crew was to basically put your head down and act depressed.
Shut up and
put your head down. And it was just, why do that? It was just every day it was something on that show. And so, you're getting those beat downs and stuff like that. And in fact,
I never saw that memo, but
that memo came out. that memo came out the very day that I just told that story. So that morning we'd gotten that memo, which is why I was not trying to laugh, because Mikhail, I think it's going to bother me. But that was the thing. I was like, so I actually showed him the memo. And afterwards, he goes, "What the fuck is this shit?" And I was like, "This is how the show's been going." He goes, "Damn, I feel bad for y'all." And he's like, "I'm going to be out of here tomorrow, so good luck." Kind of thing.
Hope it doesn't rain.
Yeah, but anyway.
McKelty Williamson?
Yes, that's him. Lovely, lovely man.
He was a nice dude.
He was very nice. Everybody really was nice on that.
But you weren't allowed to joke.
No. Aldous Hodge.
Smile.
Yeah.
That was my first Aldous Hodge meeting. Before
Aldous Hodge. Now there's a rad dude.
He's so cool.
He's chill to the bone.
And he's beef now, too. He wasn't really a beefcake. Well, he's not a beefcake now, but he's more.
Oh, sure.
He's a beefcake. He's beef now.
He is literal beef.
He has obtained machismo.
Yeah. He is hot beef. Brain, where are you?
In Beef Town, baby.
In Beef Town. All of that is good to segue to the chaoticness that we can experience. And the show that we're going to talk about today had all kinds of things go wrong, but the elements is definitely a big factor on what happens today, or on the show, I mean. The story that we have for y'all today is a 1956 movie called The Conqueror. We're going to say this is The Conqueror, Cancer Controversy, and Nuclear Fallout. Have y'all heard of this at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew a little bit, but I was surprised.
I've seen this poster, and I know that throughout time it was obviously, as we've come from this movie up to the present, the controversy of this is more violent as time goes on.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just looking at this poster is like, whew.
So I put the movie poster in here. Zoe, you want to give a little description on what you're looking at there?
Yes, John Wayne looking like he looks like he's got an interesting facial hair.
Joe is dying right now.
He's supposed to be Mongolian.
He's Genghis Khan.
John Wayne.
That was the word I was looking for. I was like, is he supposed to be fucking Genghis Khan? And then there's a hot broad.
Yes, complimenting this image.
Yeah, there's a hot broad holding a sword of sorts.
Right? With her hand on the blade, which seems like a terrible idea.
Yeah, but maybe it's not that sharp. She's a lady, so she probably didn't think to sharpen that sword up.
It looks more like it almost looks like a giant nail file.
Kind of thing.
Probably.
So that's it. And he's making a painful face, like
That's his warrior's cry.
Yeah.
Right there.
But it doesn't look like he's being very loud. He looks like
Yeah, he's screaming for his lunch.
Joe, what do you call that kind of facial hair that is on him?
It's
the opposite of Hitler. This mustache.
It's called something, and I want to.
It's like a catfish kind of thing.
Yeah. There you go. Yes. Yeah. It does.
I don't want to insult people with that, but
it looks like he
don't know what to call
multiplied his eyebrows and then doubled them and then took them off and set them on the sides of his
So it's
corners
called
of his
the-
lips.
It's called the Fu Manchu mustache.
is it?
Technical term.
It is a
That
technical
is
term,
the
which
Fu
I was
Manchu?
about to say, but I wanted to look it up first before I just go saying words that sound whatever. But no, that is what it's called. The Fu Manchu.
It's really offensive. Anyway,
That's what it's called. I swear that's called.
I prefer opposite of Hitler mustache, but yeah.
Yeah, that kind of cool.
I should give a disclaimer. It might pop up a few times that the word Oriental is used. Just know I'm quoting things at the time.
Okay.
Listeners should definitely go and look at the image of this poster.
It is worth.
Conqueror.
Yeah. We're gonna Google. It'll be the first thing that pops up.
We're gonna post some of these pictures too, just because they're amazing. So a little bit of background on this movie. It's widely considered one of the worst movies ever made. It often makes the top 50 lists. IMDb has a 3.7 rating out of 10, and that's the Internet Movie Database, if you don't know. Amazon reviewers mysteriously have it as a 4.3 out of 5 stars. So I don't know what that means about Amazon reviewers.
Brutal.
it kind of makes me think twice about how did this get made when they're reading the 5-star reviews. Anyway, so before we get any further, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room a little more, which is John Wayne as Genghis Khan. I put some movie stills in here for y'all to see.
For Pete's sake.
They're comically bad. John Wayne posthumously won a Golden Turkey Award. Have you all ever heard of that?
No.
I'd never heard of it. In 1980 for his performance in the worst casting category.
Oh, wow.
Trivial background. Marlon Brando was originally cast to play Mr. Khan, but he backed out.
I wonder why.
Smart.
I wonder why.
And was he in his pre or post Godfather Marlon Brando? I wonder.
Oh,
Wait, what year
definitely
is this?
pre, because this was being made in 54, released in 56. So
okay.
Yeah, this is a very young, when it was still young, hot Marlon Brando.
Got it.
Not fat, older Marlon Brando.
Almost 30 years later, he won this award
Yeah.
for the worst casting.
Yeah,
Right.
that's amazing.
I guess
It takes that long to age. It's like a nice whiskey or something.
It's got a 10% Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow. I mean, I'm guessing the award didn't exist in 50s. I don't know. I mean, maybe, it's like a presidency. You need a while to objectively look back on it,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. There we go.
Just crystallize it.
Yeah. But I think what cracks me up about the Marlon Brando thing is that, between John Wayne and Marlon Brando, these are people with extremely distinct voices. And then
Truly.
you're already keep in mind, everyone listening, this is in a 1950s lens, but there weren't a lot of prominent Asian actors to even have as an option. I had read, I put it in the notes, but I'd read that Yul Brynner, a lot of people were like, why didn't Yul Brynner do this? Because he was probably the closest look, ethnically, because I think he's part Eastern Russian, I believe, in Yul Brynner's background. But he was working on 10 Commandments at the time, so he wouldn't have even been available. So they're really...
Had he already done The King and I? The King and I was
that feels like early 60s. I could be wrong.
Yeah, that was after maybe.
Like John Wayne, for anyone younger, he was like the quintessential, like, drunk sounding cowboy. I mean, or there's that Lee Marvin, maybe it's more so, but it's like, hey, Pilgrim, that kind of classic. You always hear Pilgrim is always in his quotes, but the idea that he's Genghis Khan, I think, is mind-boggling. But it's also mind-boggling to imagine Marlon Brando having,
That would have been like, let's make Brad Pitt get in there,
Yeah, why not?
Give him a Fu Manchu. He'll pull it off.
Hey, I mean, Brad Pitt and Orlando Bloom were, Greek or whatever for Troy. Why not?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
That's a bad movie. But no one worked on that, right? Just to be clear.
What?
Troy.
Troy.
No.
Anyway.
I forgot about that.
For those listening, that's one of our loopholes. Is if we didn't work on it, we're more free to talk about it.
Yes.
Unless we're friends with people that worked on it, or people that hire us that were working on it. Anyway, so I wanted to also address the casting issue that I was kind of alluding to here a second ago. Who would like to kind of speak a little bit on the evolution of casting, and meaning that, back in the 50s, your pool of availability on top of your maybe social awareness and things were different, and then how it's kind of changed. Short Circuit, another example. But Joe, do you want to address that?
And has it changed?
And has it changed?
Yeah, are you talking about like the process of like who you let in, or
no, just the care that has evolved over time, I guess, to being consciously aware of what you're casting.
In general, I think we've gone the right direction in allowing people of all shapes and sizes and walks of life to come in the room, at least, in general.
No, that's what I was looking for, and it's. We'll get a casting director in here at some point, because I really want someone in the casting world to kind of speak to, it wasn't that long ago that we were doing blackface still, for example. I can go back to Underground, my favorite show of today to talk about, where there wasn't an available black male or female stunt person. So they had to get a white, because they needed to copy like a 13-year-old black girl. So instead, they got a white, small framed stunt woman, and they blackfaced her. And so, again, I'll let stunts speak to that because they have a whole different issue with stunts and their pool of availability.
Yeah.
And when you think about, the safety and experience of the stunt person for what's being asked in the stunt. So there's all kinds of issues that go into, that's a matching situation in a stunts world. But in casting, that's what has definitely changed, is that we're no longer in the world of just because this is a popular actor, let's put him over here.
Sure. We make more movies now, though. More content. Because what is this, 1956?
1956.
Yeah, The Conqueror. Like, I mean, imagine all actors that were acting at the time are coming from the stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that's not that that's not a thing anymore. But even, I'm thinking about like kid actors too.
Yeah.
Like, there's more of them and they're better. You notice you watch those old movies and you're like, man, these kids suck at acting.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad, they suck. And it's just someone threw in a little kid. And like, now, man, these kids are serious about it.
I could still debate that a little bit. And apologies to the kid from the
absolutely.
Phantom Menace, but I mean, that was atrocious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that kid. Poor kid.
And he also got harassed a lot, so I feel bad for him. But I mean, I'm forever in my head. I just forever have the "I'll try turning." That's a good trick. Like
I don't remember that.
It's during the.
I want to be a Jedi Knight. Yeah, that kid sucked.
Yeah,
poor kid.
And I'm sorry, but that's on Lucas.
No, exactly.
If only there was money to find the right kid. Anyway,
yeah.
Screw you, Star Wars.
Just didn't have enough.
Ruin our childhoods. And every time I gave them another chance, they ruin it again.
Yeah.
I think the Luke Skywalker death was the final straw for me. Like that was the worst. Like,
what are you talking about? The old ones, the new ones?
Well, that's
I don't know.
a
They're
newer,
all this.
that's a newer one.
Newer one.
They've made 15 cents, but it's just I don't know. Whatever.
They're cute movies.
Yeah.
Adorable.
John Williams is a great composer. I'll move on.
He's got upset.
Like, find something nice to say and move on. The Conqueror. Coming out of the gate, terrible casting can already torpedo a production. Anyone can agree with that, and we've seen it throughout the decades. But this was only the beginning. This is like tip of the iceberg. This production had so many other things, in the foundation of it. If you were talking about the beginning, you got a legendary producer, Howard Hughes. And if y'all don't know him, go look him up. But I mean, the guy is an iconic producer, amongst other things. The director was a guy named Dick Powell, who I think in modern lens has kind of gotten lost in time. But of the era, he was a well-known singer, actor, turned director. And he only directed like a handful of things. That's probably because this movie was such a flop. But I think I saw somewhere where there was a quote from one of his kids that said he basically chose to direct it because they were offering a lot of money. And he was like, sure, I'll do it.
That old chestnut.
Yeah. But you have a supporting cast of all these A-listers too. I mean, like of the era, I mean, some of these names, have fallen off with time, but Susan Hayward, Van Cleef, I can't think of his first name right now, but you have a lot of known talent coming into this. And that was no different than today, back in the 1950s, when you had your big budget stuff, your 10 Commandments, your Cleopatra,
the big sword and sandals.
As
they called them. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And again, I'd like to repeat, no one Asian in all these things I'm listing, on a movie that is all about Mongolia. This movie at the time had a budget of $6 million. Does anyone want to guess what that is in today money? Wild guesses. 2023.
15.
Keep going.
20.
Oh, much higher.
160.
And Justin's going to win for closest without going over. It is about
Math.
$68 million in today's money. I don't think that accurately shows how expensive it was, because you also have to think your labor and materials was also much cheaper. So
Yeah.
this is probably what, like a over $100 million movie today.
Just, one of the,
I would think.
Yep.
Drop in the bucket. So I have a picture here of the Utah Valley where the shooting took place. They were kind of all over this valley and different areas. And I mean, we'll post it, but if you want to imagine what a dry Rocky Mountain, Utah valley looks like, that's
arid
what it is.
mesas and sandstone.
There you go. Maybe some buttes.
Couple buttes.
Yeah, a couple buttes. So they're out in the elements, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, except this is a desert, which is something that, thank gods, we don't have to do in here much. But unless you're in one of the sand pits.
Unless you're on underground, opposite of the desert.
Yeah. But have y'all ever shot in one of the sand pits?
Mm-mm.
Oh, they're awful. I recommend high socks and possibly little garbage bags over your shoes.
Are they
'cause you
actual
will get sand in there?
Are they actual sand pits?
It's a pit of sand.
It's basically like it's
Like the Sarlacc pit.
like yes, exactly.
Is that
Joe's on the trolley. Y'all get on the trolley with Joe. No, it's just like a it's just like a it's just like an earth. It's just a
Speaking of Sarlaccs, they actually cast a Sarlacc there, and that's how you do it.
It's just an earth pit.
it's just mounds of earth material, and like this is a dirt pile, this is a river sand pile, this is, and then they sell those to construction businesses and things like that.
Okay.
But sometimes we go and shoot in their sand area to simulate a deserty sort of place.
Understood. Okay.
And it is not cool.
Yeah.
Try pushing anything on wheels through sand. It's worse than what's the pea gravel? Oh, the pea gravel.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's a quote. Zoe, will you read? I put this thing in from a Collider article. Will you read that?
Ah, yes. If a dysentery-stricken Harrison Ford, the $1 million insurance policies of the Mummy, and the testimony of many, many actors can teach us anything, it's that shooting in a desert anywhere in the world sucks. Nature is out to get you in the middle of nowhere. You have to fight with the blistering heat, potentially dangerous animals, all while dealing with the regular stressors that pop up on a film set. Nature doesn't compromise, nature doesn't cooperate, and nature doesn't care about your movie. Why should it? According to Harry and Michael Medved's book, Hollywood's Hall of Shame, The Conqueror made for a grueling shoot that, for reason alone, water sources dried up and people fainted from heat stroke, but it was pushed over the edge from grueling to genuinely dangerous by the particular desert they decided to use the film for filming.
Sounds pleasant, right? So in 1953...
That is just awful.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In 1953, not far away, just over the border in Nevada, there were 11 above-ground nuclear tests at the Nevada National Security Site. And a year later, 137 miles downwind from that, and that's 220 kilometers for international friends, that the filming began on, you guessed it, The Conqueror. So this is where we're starting to get into the controversy side of it, because the filmmakers were aware that the testing was over there in Nevada, but they had been reassured by the federal government that it was safe to film there. And you have to keep in mind, this is the 1950s when Americans still trusted the government. So if the government says it's fine, because clearly they know about radiation in 1954,
Yeah.
So everyone's like, sounds good. Cool, let's go shoot.
Yeah. Bring your cigarettes too. They're good for you.
Right. Rub your cigarette down in the sand a minute. Just get it real good and uranium-y.
It's got a special kind of dizzy.
It's a new glow on this smoke.
So we want to tell you about Teaser Fest. burlesque excellence. Immerse yourself in a world of allure at Teaser Fest, a burlesque extravaganza in the heart of New Orleans from January 18th to 21st.
7 showcases, guys. Countless thrills from the timeless queen of the striptease at the Orpheum Theater with live jazz to the avant-garde Verities featuring acrobatics in the same iconic venue.
Sorry, I chuckled because I think it's supposed to say varieties.
I think, yeah.
That's why I was just saying.
Yeah, so we should probably do
Wait,
that
what?
one.
Oh,
Yeah. What did I say?
What did you say? What did you
Verities.
I would have Cinema Verities.
I'm sorry. It's like the kid in class you're reading out loud.
No, but I mean, that's
laughing at you.
no. I feel like we should shame people more. I feel like it gets people on their toes.
I see you went to the
Varieties.
Derek
Varietos.
Zoolander School for
Yeah,
Kids Who Can't Read Good.
varieties. Yeah, varieties.
Verities. Let me do 7 showcases. Countless thrills. From the timeless queen of the striptease at the Orpheum Theater with live jazz to the avant-garde Verities featuring acrobatics in the same iconic venue.
Varieties.
Varieties.
Somebody else do it. Somebody else do it.
Hey, man, you want to take a sip of this?
7 showcases, countless thrills from the timeless queen of the striptease at the Orpheum Theater with live jazz to the avant-garde.
You're not going to be able to get through it.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm going to take one more time. 7 showcases, countless.
That wasn't me.
All right,
That wasn't me.
7 showcases, countless thrills from the timeless queen of the striptease at the Orpheum Theater with live jazz to the avant-garde Varieties featuring acrobatics in the same iconic venue.
It's at the Orpheum Theater, gang. Witness burlesque magnificence in this historic gem, a perfect backdrop for the extravagance of Teaser Fest.
After Dark Adventures, explore edgy, one-of-a-kind acts that redefined late-night entertainment.
Teaser Fest celebrates New Orleans culture with live music, crafted cocktails, and intimate performances.
A festival like never before. Elevate your senses at Teaser Fest, promising enchantment, amazement, and a celebration of burlesque in all its forms.
So get your tickets now. Visit teaserfest.com and secure your place at the hottest burlesque event of the year.
Justin, would you read this Oscar Millard? I put a quote in from him.
Sure. Oscar Millard. The company had just missed being wiped out by a flash flood, and Duke Wayne had been drunk for 3 days. Not that it made much difference, except when a bender bloated him, it was hard to tell. His performance, drunk or sober, was the way other actors tend to perform if drunk.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know John Wayne or you don't know him well, you can just go look him up. I mean, the way the guy talked was sort of like a drunken slur. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I kind of get what he means. Like, you really couldn't tell a difference. But that picture that I posted where he's laying on the ground, I was like, is that a bloated day?
Oh, he's
that a
gotta be
bloated-
drunk.
Yeah.
She's like, I found him here, laying here. I'm like, oh.
Did y'all ever see it's an old SNL, but it's Bill Murray as an out-of-shape Hercules?
No.
I highly recommend everyone look that up. It's so funny because they shot it and dubbed over their voices to make it look like a crappy old movie or whatever.
True. Yeah, totally.
And here's Bill Murray coming with a pot belly and everything, and Dana Carvey's playing this Grecian king or whatever, and he says, "If you are the real Hercules, lift that boulder over there." And then the Bill Murray guy goes, "That boulder's too large. I can lift a smaller one."
Oh, I think I do know that.
Yeah, and then he pulls his back and has to lie down. So that's what made me think of it as like. And again, we'll post these pictures, but if you see this one of John Wayne on the floor, it just reminds me of Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, again, you're not going to hear a lot of good things about this production. So another thing, again, no Asians on this show. They got 300 members of one of the local Paiute, I believe is the way to say it. Someone can write in and correct me. But the local Paiute tribe were cast as the Tartar horsemen. You needed a lot of Mongolian horseback, basically. So here's some natives. But we'll get more on that in a minute. There's not really much else to say about the production itself. I think we've done a lot to set up that it didn't go well. And then we're going to get into a little bit of the aftermath of the filming. I don't know. Joe, do you want to explain a reshoot beyond the obvious, what it sounds like?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you got to fill in holes or you missed something or you got to go back, that's the obvious bit. But maybe there's performances were bad. Can be lighting continuity, technical issues.
And this back this is film. So I mean, you could have had a bad film.
If you bad exposure,
bloating.
Your actor is bloating in front of you.
Budget bloating. I mean, it can really be anything like that for sure.
So the reason bringing that up, Howard Hughes had 60 tons of that Utah dirt shipped to California for the reshoots. So this downwind irradiated earth was then shipped to Los Angeles to do reshoots. So if you weren't getting enough exposure, let me just bring it to you and just rub it around.
We're going to have asbestos snow on the set too.
Oh man, how lawless too. Because like we've been in places where it's like, I don't feel good about this. I feel like I'm inhaling smoke, or I don't really know what's around. But
this
like,
warehouse
you're there.
is clearly like just chemicals and
and you don't want to be the only guy to say something, or because it's at the end of the day, like you're not going anywhere.
We should have a whole topic at some point on whistleblowing and everything, because that's a culture that's trying to change for the better, for in the name of safety and other things. But we can talk about that another time. But you are correct. I mean,
that if
the courage of the person on set that speaks up and is like, I don't like this.
Open challenge to anyone in the IATSE union. What is hazard pay? What constitutes hazard pay? I have definitely worked in hazardous conditions, and when I have asked about it, I get a mum answer. And this is one of those examples where you're like, aren't we downwind from a nuclear testing thing? Shouldn't we have protection on or something?
But in 1956, I don't know. You don't really have those questions. Someone said it was safe. It's fine. What do you want? Move on.
Uncle Sam says it's good to go. It's good for him. It's good for me.
Especially something where you're not gonna feel the effect of that hazardous environment until years later. Yeah. It's like, oh shit, I got a little bit of cancer. I wonder if it's from that 3 months I spent filming that. I wouldn't think that. Like, just my luck.
The desert's got fresh air, I thought. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can you imagine getting out there and you're like, good desert air.
They all light their cigarettes.
Which we are going to get into the cigarette part of it here in a minute.
Oh, great.
So there you go.
So now we're going to get into some statistics. Hopefully y'all aren't driving because this might make you fall asleep. But so there were 220 crew members, and this is not including the 300 Paiute peoples.
That's big.
Yeah, it's a big show. Big show. Because Joe, what would you say is like the average crew?
100, 120.
Yeah, there you go. This is a massive crew. There's also probably positions that no longer exist that were probably in this time period.
Sure.
That's another thing, is the evolution of our industry. Sometimes there's new positions that crop up by demand, and there's other ones that go away.
Yeah, they didn't have monitors back then. They hired a guy to paint the scenes in real time and put those up at Video Village.
Yes.
So that's what he was.
Some very
a really fast sketch artist.
Yeah, that's
kind of like the courtroom.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? He's running it back over.
That will be framed up there. He's like, almost done.
Yeah.
Bear with me.
And they had 4 guys that did that. Yeah. So, you guys can only imagine out there.
I like the idea.
Those 4 guys were Asian too.
That's the weirdest part.
They were the Asian guys.
The only Asians on the entire crew. I just imagined like 8 hands on one notepad, like combined to scribble the image together.
I bet some new positions were either created on this show or because of this show.
Is this the origin of the HR department?
Sure.
Yes.
HR. Is this where human resources comes from?
Yeah.
So of these 220 crew members, again, not including the Paiutes, 91 crew members contracted a wide range of cancers in their lifetimes. And that's about 41% of the crew. 46 of that 91 died from a cancer-related illness, and that's about 21% of the crew. So because of, like Joe has brought up, smoking and other variables at the time, it's hard to pinpoint exactly how much radiation actually affected the crew because the statistics are actually kind of in line with cancer statistics of the 50s. But three interesting things of note. The majority of those 91 cases that were contracting cancers at younger ages than the average in the mid 50s. So that's one of the red flags. And again, going back to our Paiute friends, those 300 were never included in any statistics or anything. So that could alter what is known about the outcome of the crew after that show.
Sure.
So there's no way to actually pinpoint how much is affected. And I'll note for the record, there is a little bit of discrepancy between some of the found statistics. There was one source, which we'll post sources online, but there was a source that was saying that the mortality rate was normal at the time, but then another one was saying that the 91 recorded cancer cases is high for the time.
Well, with these statistics, I'm like, did anybody take another movie shooting at the same time in a totally different location and see how many of their crew members?
That's a great question.
Yeah, what are the stats
dropped from
these
cancer?
people? Yeah,
yeah, like that'd be the way to do it. Get a couple other.
They were comparing to
they call
the
that
general
control. Yes, yeah.
The general, just like population or just other
general population of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I need two other crews on two other movies.
I need the Mythbusters crew.
Yeah,
out
give me
there
that.
now.
We need the scientific method to be implemented here.
Yes.
Our problem is.
But actually, yeah, I want to know.
No, it's a great question. So at the end of this, my question to y'all is what can we gather here? Like, what are your thoughts knowing all this information you know now? Like, do you think there's a little column A, column B going on, or do you think it's definitely affecting, or is it just the generality of, oh my God, this was a horrible idea on so many levels? You know, y'all tell me.
I think it's also time period.
Yep.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Being able to test for certain things. I worked on something where they had found out there was some hazardous material on a set we'd built, and they had someone come in. We didn't shoot there for a couple of days, but they tested it, blah, blah, blah. And it was all pretty quick. It was all pretty quick and painless. But I imagine 60 years ago, they didn't have that. Boom, 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 testy test, send it off, send it back.
Even the knowledge that it was dangerous. I mean, the asbestos snowflakes in movies, like, I don't know this, but like, did they know what they were doing? Like,
yeah,
making it rain like that on people with that.
I got some in my mouth again.
yeah.
Pretty good.
That and between someone
eat some
playing a
paint chips?
different race, did Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai? Is he supposed to be?
He is not.
He's not supposed. He's supposed to be a white guy that is also a samurai.
It's more of a Dances with Wolves story.
Okay.
Like he gets,
Just checking.
Like, yeah.
I was also
Pulled into
thinking
the culture.
Matt Damon in The Gray Wall,
yeah.
I think he also plays kind of
Just
similar,
a reg,
similar to
white
The Last
guy.
Samurai.
I got one
in
for
the
you.
culture.
Let's see if you're doing the. Oh my God.
Oh right,
Mickey Rooney
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
in
yeah.
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Wow.
Like
That's the classic.
That's the one that's like
Send that to me.
Jesus.
So
Because he does the voice and everything.
he's doing the.
We're gonna-
You see
And
this
Breakfast at
picture?
Tiffany's 60s,
yes.
60,
Yeah.
mid 60s,
Mid-
60s,
mid-ish.
right?
Yeah, send that to me because we'll post that as well. The one that I was thinking of is Sean Connery in You Only Live Twice, the Bond movie, because he fakes his death, escapes to Japan, where, I mean, it is straight up Team America, where they try to alter him to look like a Japanese person. And it's so offensive to see it through a modern lens. And this is in the 60s, I believe. But having Connery pretending to be Asian with his obvious Scottish accent, which is so hilarious and wonderful at the same time, But that's the one that popped in my head of like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm watching this thing.
He's also in an interview. He's like, it's okay to hit a lady as long as you have an open hand.
Yeah,
that's just fine.
Yeah,
like you can look that one up. That is just like, he smiles like, fight me.
Yeah,
kind of thing. It's like, oh my God.
Well, that's what's the is it the From Russia with Love? The Bond girl in that gets hysterical and he slaps her to calm her down, which is obviously the way you calm a woman down. Isn't that right, Zoe?
So he's like, yeah, Bond.
There's no other way.
Yeah, she's like Bond.
You lost me at Bond.
Yeah. What's Bond?
Yeah, I don't know. I used to be pretty scrappy in my youth, so this is like, hit a woman. All right. Yeah. I've been punched in the face.
Tit for tat. No, but it's pretty jarring, no pun intended, to see it through a modern lens, because you're watching it and you're like, oh, I'm watching a Bond movie. It's like a typical James. Oh God, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm trying to think of the last time I saw something like that, where I was like, that's not that person's race. The hell are you talking about?
Team America.
What's that with the puppets?
Durka Durka.
Is that was
like
marionettes?
Yeah, the marionette.
Okay, I never saw that one.
I highly recommend it.
That one's good.
But I know that there's kind of like a movement now of like voice actors, because there's a lot. I mean, this is different, but a lot of like
Hank Azaria.
men playing women, voices, stuff like that. Which doesn't bother me if you got a good voice. Voice acting is. It's a noble profession. Love voice acting.
Yeah,
but also, people voicing a character.
It's the job we
that's
all want to have.
Yeah, everybody wants to be a voice actor, right? So I see that, but I don't know. I don't think a lot of people have super strong opinions on that, because a silly voice is a silly voice, right? And it's fun, and it, a lot of the times with cartoons, someone's blue or yellow or whatever.
Current,
so, I mean,
that's a little getting into the, I think, cancel culture currently. That people are really pushing over the top for, like only a handicapped person can portray a handicap, a character kind of thing. And there's actually Sean Penn, of all people. Made it, but he
spoke up.
I know, like he said that, on the one hand you want to comply with the changing times, and I'm paraphrasing heavily here. I'll see if I can find it and post it later. But
you never go full retard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tropic Thunder, to be clear.
Man, do yourself a favor and watch that I Am Sam.
That's what he was referring to.
Trailer, because
he was saying
he
was saying Daniel Day-Lewis would never be able to do My Left Foot in today's world. He was saying I would never be able to do I Am Sam in today's world. And he's saying his point was that, not to say that this is right or this is wrong, but that this is what the times are. And so again, with acting, you're playing a character. So I'm kind of torn on the whole thing, because it's like, I don't care what you look like. If you play the part really well, then play the part really well. But that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Anyways,
he does fall on
a
some
murky
cake
world.
in that. Yeah. It's very funny.
But
Compound falls on some cake.
To circle us back,
oh my gosh,
very funny.
What now?
What's that?
like on his butt, like he did.
No, he comes around the corner and he's holding a giant sheet cake and he eats shit, and it's so cancel culture aside, that is a damn funny moment, and it makes it into the trailer. I Am Sam.
Oh, I Am Sam.
He's running with a sheet cake, right. And he does this kind of spin out and he falls.
Oh my god!
It makes me laugh hard. We can watch it later.
Oh my god,
that's great.
I had forgotten about that. My brain.
Oh, I did not.
My brain went to Donald Sutherland cameo in Kentucky Fried Movie, because there's a moment where
there's an oldie.
Yeah, it's a moment where it just goes Donald Sutherland as the clumsy waiter, and then he literally it's Donald Sutherland for all of 4 seconds tripping and falling into a cake.
Oh, that's great. Simpsons does it too. Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
it's wonderful. So I think the point that we're trying to make is that someone like a John Wayne character has no business playing Genghis Khan. No. That's really what's at the meat and potatoes of it. So
it's a gray area, but sometimes it's very clear,
right,
what you're doing.
Have there been any more movies about Genghis Khan since? Just curious.
Yes.
Because
that's a good thought.
But actually made by, like, I believe Chinese production has done some Genghis Khan historical stuff.
Okay.
Which, hey, that's the way it should be done.
Yeah.
don't get 300 Paiutes. Go get, actual like Asians anyway.
Yeah.
Who played Genghis Khan in Bill and Ted?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Because
Oh,
Genghis
shit.
Khan is in Bill and Ted. Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah.
While
Napoleon's great in that.
while he's like,
Yeah, that's true.
Piggy.
And he's like 999. Or no, what's shit? He's bowling or something like that.
Yeah.
I also remembered Fisher Stevens' Short Circuit.
Yes.
Playing an Indian American.
Oh god, because Johnny Five, the accent. and the whole-
I mean, that was full on. And I don't remember who. It might be Kumail Nanjiani that said it. It was someone like him was saying that, like he was asked about that Fisher Stevens role, and they were saying like, my dad liked it, and he's Pakistani.
That is funny.
So, it's one of those things where it's that like offending people who aren't even like Indian Pakistani, for example. Basically suburban white women.
Yes.
That is offensive in my gated community of other white people.
Yes.
So
Genghis Khan played by Al Leong. Sorry for the pronunciation there.
If you can't pronounce it, it's probably good. It means
It's
he's
probably a good thing. He is, in fact.
Oh, yeah.
he's a legendary.
Asian.
he's
action
in
guy.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
He's
That's
in
right.
tons of stuff.
Tons of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow. He's
He's dope.
Yeah, that guy's awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah to that guy.
And I believe that was a Fu Manchu, right?
I was. Yes, it was. Yeah.
Rocking it.
Yep.
Rocking it appropriately.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are off the rails as usual. So let's wrap us up here. We hope y'all enjoyed this. We're going to be doing these from time to time. If you have any ideas, of course, you can. Segue, Zoe.
Oh, what up? Do you like what we're doing here? Do you have thoughts, comments, questions? Maybe you have an idea or suggestion for topics you want to hear about? Well, you can find us on the interwebs. You can email us at filmfolklorepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on all the social medias. Instagram is Film Folklore Podcast. Our Facebook group is Film Folklore. On Twitter, X is at The Film Folk. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us. You can review us. Thank you all for joining us today. And someone take us out.
Mammy.
We almost made it to 13 episodes.